Good morning, Wake and Taker. Sorry, vibing out to the music right there. It gets me going on a Tuesday morning. I feel like it's been too long. I feel like there's just such a big gap between Thursday show and then Tuesday show, which is also part of the reason why I started doing the Throne Room live over on TikTok on Sundays, doing my immediate recaps over there as well. But welcome into today's show over here on Wake and Take. It is Tuesday, October 21st. I am Justin Owens, the Lord O Games, your host as always for the Wake and Take. Hope you got your coffee ready. Week 7 was an absolute doozy. There was just points galore. I mean, but like yes and no, like high scoring points, but like not a lot spread out. I mean, like I was looking into the Monday night games from last night, and I'm looking, damn, like I said, Woody Marks is way higher than running back 33, but he had a bad game. Woody Marks did not look good. Got bailed out by a garbage time touchdown, similar to some of the other guys we'll talk about. Bailed out by a late garbage time tutty, but that put him in the top 20 running backs. He had 11 points, and that was good enough for top 20 at the running back position. So very top heavy scores this week. So hopefully you had your CMCs, hopefully you had your Bijans, hopefully you had your JTs, and you didn't, or Jahmyr Gibbs, and you didn't have to worry about, you know, the Jordan Masons, the Woody Markses. Like you didn't have to worry about those guys tanking you down a little bit because it, like I said, just very top heavy week. So hopefully y'all came out with a dub. I feel like we absolutely cooked on the Thursday show with some of these takes. Going to be going into that in a little bit here, just because I mean, Matt Stafford, start him. Tez Johnson, top 20 week. Wide receiver 17. Didn't get the 2 touchdowns I called for. So close. So close. Baker just looked off. And honestly, probably Tez should have had 2 touchdowns, especially after Mike Evans went down. But, you know, you can't win them all. But I still feel like we as a whole here on Wake and Take did a very good job at the starts and the sits. I feel like, you know, we had a great job there. Morning, Jonathan. Would I drop Michael Carter for Gainwell? Your league counts return yards. Is Gainwell doing the returns right now? I didn't even realize Gainwell was doing returns. I got a couple leagues out there in a similar situation. He did have 3 returns for 88 yards. It does kind of seem like with Jaylen Warren fully back, they might be shifting him to that spot. Honestly, I don't think Michael Carter's really doing a whole lot for you right now anyway. Bam Knight is the lead back. I mean, it's kind of like a little bit of a 50-50 split there. Let's check out the snap shares between those two guys. Because I think if you're looking like rest of the season, sure, yeah, Michael Carter and Bam Knight pretty close to 50-50 in terms of their split. 47% for Bam, 36% snaps for Carter. Maybe that shifts back with Murray, but also we got Trey Benson coming back here in 1-2. This was the 3rd week. So Trey Benson could return week 9 coming up here. So honestly, Michael Carter's time is probably limited here, whereas Gainwell is still a solid handcuff on top of your return yards. So yeah, I feel confident doing that, Jonathan. So go for it. I like that. I like that move there with That's a smart move too. Watching the settings of your leagues and noticing those little things like, oh, Gainwell got 3 returns. That's a sign. Like he was clearly used a lot less in the actual offense, and maybe he has shifted over to more of a special teams guy since Jaylen Warren's fully back. Happy Hudson, good morning. Wake and Takers, check on your Evans managers. You are not okay. I know, man. You waited all this time for him to come back. 1,000 yard streak on the line, and brutal way to go down, man. I mean, broken collarbone confirmed. Going to go ahead and just jump right into that news. Broken collarbone confirmed for Mike Evans, most likely done for the remainder of the season from what it seems. So tough loss there. Not how you want to see a record like that end. You don't want to see it end on bad injuries, like back to back here. So hopefully Evans is doing all right. On the flip side of like just looking at the Detroit game, Igbuka, just all of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers looked off. It started with Baker. Baker just looked like he could not get settled, and you got to credit the Lions defense. They seem to do it with these ragtag teams sometimes. Yes, they did get the help from the refs quite a bit last night. I call that the referees giving makeup calls for the Kansas City game. Like, that's just the NFL. Like, it's going to ebb and flow. Sometimes the games go your way, sometimes they don't, in terms of some shitty calls. But it went in the Lions' favor, and it just really, like I said, like the defense themselves, you got to credit the Detroit defense. Just ragtag secondary out there, not one starter outside of Robertson, and they had Baker struggling. They had Baker not able to set his feet ever. So it really affected him, you could see, and obviously losing one of your top targets in the middle of the game. Always we've seen it at least 3-4 times this season alone where the primary target, like a Xavier Worthy, goes out early in the game, and all of a sudden, like the flow is just not there the rest of the game. Egbuka, 12 targets, but nothing with him. You got to think that was also partially due to him having no to limited practice the whole way through, but only 4 catches for Egbuka for 58 yards in what could have been a lot of garbage time for him, but it just could not connect there. So really, I think the Buccaneers are going to be fine. I think obviously like it was a down week for them. But they get New Orleans coming up here, which is a little bit of a softer matchup compared to Detroit. It is in New Orleans, so it's maybe not the best like situation to be going into with a banged up team. But then they get the bye after that. So I think we're going to be fine here. If you want to try to buy low on any of your Buccaneers, now would be the time to do it as they go into New Orleans and the bye, and then they come out. New England, Buffalo, Rams. I mean, they got a tough schedule down here, but it softens up a little bit. Week 13, Arizona, New Orleans, Atlanta. And then you end the fantasy. You go Atlanta, Carolina, Miami for the fantasy playoffs. So buy low on your Tampa Bay Buccaneers now because they got a tough stretch here with the injuries and everything. But the playoff schedule be juicy. They kept sailing. That ball was, like I said, he couldn't set his feet. Baker could not set his feet at all. It was just, it was tough. It was very tough. I wonder why the YouTube stuff is doing that now. It's not. It used to be your guys' like display names, and now it's the ats and YouTube, man. But I see MD Prof. Welcome in. Good morning. But yeah, Baker couldn't, like I said, he could not set his feet. Obviously, the pass rush for the Lions was unfazed. They were unhurt, like they were healthy. So Hutch, McNeil, Derek Barnes, like Shep knows how to dial it up against these quarterbacks and keep them uncomfortable. So that was good to see as a Lions fan, obviously. For fantasy football, last night was a little bit of a disappointment in terms of the laser show we expected in Tampa or in Detroit with Tampa Bay coming in. But you still got some fireworks with Jahmyr Gibbs. Just good God, that guy is incredible. He's making a push here. He might be the only running back that is going to be splitting work that is going to enter himself into the RB1 conversation. And we knew this was the upside. But yeah, 55% snap share for Gibbs last night, and he put up 35 half PPR points, 136 and 2 on the ground, and then another 82 in the air on 3 catches. Like that's just what Gibbs can do on a weekly basis. Going into this game, I would have said this was probably a Jameson Williams, if not a Jameson Williams and Sam Laporta game, because I did expect the secondary to be a lot more rough. But the pass rush and the scheming was able to cover up the blemishes that was our secondary. And a full week of game planning. I mean, like we're seeing here, Shep with a full week of game planning is a scary thing. He had to deal with one plan going into Kansas City, and then obviously a bunch more injuries happened. So the game plan had to shift. But if he's got a full week to plan it with a group of guys, he's going to get them ready. So there was no laser show, no Jameson Williams goose egg for you there. 0 catches on 2 targets only. That's the Jameson Williams experience this year. He's back to the absolute boom, absolute bust category, and it's hard. Like I said, this is one of those games where you would have probably started him because you're expecting the high point total, and it just didn't pan out. So he's a high risk flex on a weekly basis. That's about it. Sam Laporta disappointed after 2 good games of finding the end zone. Just didn't need him too much here. 3 for 3 for 15, and then Amon-Ra just doing Amon-Ra things. 6 for 86 and a tutty. So that's the Lions. Like I said, you start your Gibbs, you start your St. Brown, and then Monty, J-Mo, and Laporta are just going to be kind of matchup feel, like gut check stuff. It's not going to be those guys aren't going to be consistent, unfortunately, this year. It looks. But on the flip side, with the Tampa Bay side, I did have the espresso shot from week 7. Like I said, I already brought it up. The espresso shot, I had Tez Johnson as a top 20 wide receiver. I called for 2 touchdowns. I almost got 2 touchdowns. There was almost 2 touchdowns, and I was like I said, Detroit fan. So like I wasn't rooting for it, but also like it was gonna happen. It was very close. If Baker had time to set on a couple more throws, Tez Johnson was gonna get in the end zone. He had 9 targets, 58 yards, and 1 touchdown. So about 14 half PPR points, 13.8 here, and that is good enough on this week. Like I said, a very top heavy week. So 13.8 points was good enough for wide receiver 17. Not the fattest of W's, but he was ranked all the way down in the wide receiver 40 range. So, hey, I said, if you needed the big swing, I put it on TikTok, I put it on Twitter. I said, if you need the big swing, if you need a big boost, Tez Johnson is your guy, and he almost delivered. And I think with Mike Evans out next week, and I highly doubt we see a Chris Godwin out there with the way that these injuries have been going. I highly doubt with what happened to Mike Evans and everything. I just don't see them rushing Chris Godwin back out there. So I think we see another week where Tez Johnson is absolutely going to be usable. It's going to be Igbuka and it's going to be Tez for Tampa Bay next week, in my opinion. And we'll see if Bucky comes back next week, but who knows? Bucky's timeline has changed at least 10 times now. Yeah, MV Prof, I put it out there. This was the espresso shot. He was the second most used wide receiver. Everything pointed to it. I honestly, I almost put it out there to pivot away once I saw Igbuka and Evans active. I was like, oh shit, like this is about to flop hard and everyone's gonna flame me. But Evans going down kind of gave me a little bit of extra targets there. But yeah, I agree. Doubt Bucky returns with the bye coming up. I think Bucky and Godwin are going to be out one more week. I mean, still the Bucks are still fine. They're 5-2. So they still got some cushion. Obviously, a big game against New Orleans in division here, but New Orleans isn't scaring anybody. And I think that the Bucks are just going to limp into the bye week here. They're going to be a little bit angry about this past week, so we will see here how they pan out. We did have the doubleheader last night. Unfortunately, it was my least favorite version of the doubleheader, where we get the 7:00 game right in the middle of bedtime with the kids, and then we get the 10:00 game where us East Coast dads, East Coasters in general. I'm going to be honest. I fell asleep at halftime. It wasn't an exciting game. It did not keep me interested, so I fell asleep at halftime. So I did not get to keep up with everything that was going down. But I can tell you from what I did see, Houston has a problem on offense, and we've known that this entire time. They had 1 or 2 bright spots there this season, but that offensive line is an absolute problem. If they go up against any pass rush that has pressure, it's just impossible for Stroud to get into a groove here. I'm hoping that they make some type of move at the deadline, but also this might just be a lost season for Houston. What are they sitting at right now? Houston is 2-4. 2-4, and we know that Indy is just running the division right now. We know that Jacksonville is been hot. They've been colder as late, so maybe Houston, seeing Jacksonville struggle as well, make a push here. But with Houston, Indy, and Jacksonville, I mean, Tennessee is just out of it already. That's a lost year for them. So maybe Houston sees Jacksonville trip and slip a little bit as a buy opportunity, and they can bring in some type of offensive line help. They need to make a trade. They need to do something, because Stroud looks rough. This offense looks rough. If you think that there's going to be something where the offensive line improves, or just the Houston offense has their games, this is another buy low window on Nico Collins. He had a couple bad drops out there, but also 10 targets is 10 targets, and he's an elite wide receiver. So it's tough to say no to that. But I mean, only 4 catches for 27 yards. Like I said, 1 bad drop, and then just a lot of quick, ugly passes that weren't on the mark or got tipped at the line. So better days ahead for Nico, obviously. But he's another guy that's kind of tough to trust right now, in that him and Brian Thomas just seem to be on the same wavelength, where the volume says buy, but the team situation and just the quarterback play right now says unreliable buy. So if you think that they get it together, they got tough matchups here coming up. So it's not like it's an immediate. There might still be more time to buy low here. You could let it marinate another week and then try to go scoop for the low. But really not too much here. Like I said, Woody Marks saved the day with a late receiving touchdown, but only 11 points. Like I said, sneaking into the top 20 of a top heavy week. Another guy that I called, like I said, running back 33 last on the consensus rankings. I thought he was going to be higher than that. Did not expect a low total of 11 points, but on the plus side, it's exactly what I thought. In a bad game script where it's not just Houston smacking up the Baltimore Ravens defense, Woody Marks was used the most out of these running backs. Woody Marks had a 61% snap share to Chubb's 26%. And I think that's going to be the case in all of these games where Houston is behind. We saw Marks have 10 carries, 5 targets. The yardage wasn't there, but the touchdown is nice. It shows that it's possible. We've seen the ceiling, and I think this is kind of where the floor is going to be settling in with this type of volume. 15 opportunities to Chubb's 8, and Ogunbowale got 1 in there. And then another guy that I want to talk about from this Houston team, not so much for redraft or seasonal leagues, but definitely in Dynasty. I think Jalen Noel, if you are still able to get him in a package deal where he's like kind of a throw-in type piece, I think that's a great move right now. Christian Kirk dealing with injuries once again, just consistently. And Noel hasn't popped enough to where the Noel drafter from the rookie draft is like, I need to hold on to this. Like, this is a star in the making. It's still a very maybe I just cash out and get what I can. But I think that Noel is very much going to just improve, and he's solidifying himself as the slot for next year, if not for the remainder of this year. So again, if you think that there's a chance that the Texans get it together this year, you can go ahead and try to scoop him up on your waivers for seasonal. I wouldn't right now. That's a roster clogger type guy. But definitely for Dynasty, Noel is someone that I'm going to be putting out a lot of offers where he's kind of just like trying to sneak him into a lot of my offers where I just want to scoop that guy up because I think Houston knows where their deficiencies are. And I think that once they get the O-line figured out next year, Jalen Noel is going to be a slot stud for the Texans. On the Seattle Seahawks, they are the Seattle Seahawks. Jamie, good morning. Good morning. How are we doing? The Seattle Seahawks are the Seattle Seahawks. It's Jackson Smith-Njigba, easy mode. You don't even, you close your eyes and you just let him do what he's going to do. Another just absolutely absurd stat line here. 14 more targets, 8 catches, 123 yards, and another tutty. The dude's just consistently putting up. This is 3 straight 20-plus fantasy points in a row here from Jackson Smith-Njigba, and he's just not slowing down. He's the wide receiver 1 overall right now, and I mean the way that the offense works, it's run the ball or play action past the Jackson Smith-Njigba. They even had Cooper Kupp out there trying to throw it past the Jackson Smith-Njigba. So it just absurd the usage here, and just he's the only wide receiver, only pass catcher that you're looking at here. We did see the tight ends kind of flip on what we have seen in the past. Arroyo was the primary target, getting five targets this week, but not much to it. 4 for 42. And then Barner only 3 targets, 1 for 7. So a little bit disappointing from what we had been seeing. We did think that it was going to be Barner over Arroyo for the rest of the season, but we saw from last night not quite the case, at least in terms of passing. In terms of snaps, Barner was still out there 89% of the time. Arroyo only 38%, but it seemed like they were making a more concentrated effort to make Arroyo kind of a big slot type guy compared to Barner, who is more of the inline tight end type guy. So something to kind of keep an eye on. Makes Barner a lot less reliable if they are trying to use Arroyo more in that move tight end slot, big slot role. And then the running backs, I don't know how many times I can say it, but it's the same thing every single week. It is a 50-50 split in terms of snaps and opportunities. It's damn near close. It's 53-47, 47-53, 48-52. It's consistent where Charbonnet and Walker are just splitting. And right now, Charbonnet is the only one that you can start. Charbonnet, you have to start him and hope that you are getting a goal line carry. He got 2 this past week. He got 2 on Monday night, 12 carries, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. So that you can't start Ken Walker right now. Like, I mean, you can obviously because one, we're going into the big bye week here in week 8, and there's so many injuries. So like maybe you have to, but you're just hoping and praying that he busts off a run because he's not getting goal line work. They are not passing to the running backs at all in Seattle. Charbonnet, the only running back with a target this week with 2 targets. And that's been the case. They have not been throwing to the running backs. So there's no extra value to squeeze here. It's who gets the goal line carries, and that's the only value, and that's Charbonnet. Charbonnet is going to be ahead of Kenneth Walker in my rankings until something changes, and I don't see it changing. They're 5-2. They're winning games, and it's not because of either of these running backs. It's because of Darnold to JSN, and these running backs are doing enough to continue. So I think that's going to be the game plan for Seattle until they have to change, and I don't know if they have to change, especially as their defense gets healthier. Do they have to? No. So yeah, Charbonnet will be firmly ahead of Kenneth Walker in my ranks moving forward, and that's just based on the fact that one of these guys gets touches at the goal line, and one of these guys has not sniffed the goal line. And I mean, Walker has 3 touchdowns on the year. 2 of them came in one game. It's bad out there. But those were the Monday night games. We got KJ in here. What's up? Should I drop Hendo for Monangai or Bouchard? Also, should I drop, I'm assuming Juwan Jennings for Josh Downs, Booty, or Tez, full PPR. I want to drop Juwan Jennings so bad, but 2 games back, he saw 85% snap share. He got 7 targets. It was just an ugly game for San Francisco passing because it's a banged up Mac Jones. We should be getting Purdy back. And once Purdy is back, I think that Jennings is going to be back as a top target in this offense. I don't know if that means anything. I truly do not. And once again, I'm talking with my gosh darn microphone all the way across the desk. Apologies, guys. So I don't know. I think if you need an immediate start, you can go ahead and do that. If you need to have a plug for week 8 due to the bye weeks or due to injuries, I think you can go for a Tez Johnson. I think that Tez Johnson is going to be another absolute smash start here in week 8. If you're just looking for someone to plug in and just hold on like your roster and be a consistent option, I would stick with Juwan Jennings. I love Josh Downs. The concussion kind of scares me. And just the fact that he's still not seeing the field that often. He's getting the targets when he's on the field, but he's just not seeing the field enough. I think that Juwan Jennings, once Purdy comes back, once San Francisco gets healthier as they're going to be okay. And I think Juwan Jennings will be okay, but you're just going to have to keep playing the wait and see game and get these kind of just gross games until Brock Purdy is back. So that's where I stand on that. Like I said, if you need someone, go ahead and scoop a Tez or a Downs, but I don't think that Booty is going to be any more consistent than Jennings is. Obviously, we've seen the big touchdown booms here from Booty, but we've also seen him completely disappear, whereas I think Jennings is going to see a lot more consistent flow of targets. It's gross. I'm sorry that I don't got a better answer, but that's where I'm at with those guys. But like I said, covered the Monday night games there with the Detroit-Tampa Bay game and then the Seattle-Houston game. I did go live on TikTok on Sunday. I'm going to continue doing that on a weekly basis on Sunday. I'm still trying to figure out the technical the side of it to get Player Profiler's TikTok page if you follow them as well. But I would love to see any of you guys out there. I know not everyone's TikTok people. I get that, but the Sunday Throne Room, it's live on TikTok every Sunday. I'm giving my immediate reactions before any of the data gets processed, before anything. I'm just going straight off of what I saw and what I see in the box scores and just kind of giving the immediate takes so that way we can go ahead and have those ready to go and then fine tune them as we go through the week to get ready for week 8 here. Had a blast in there this week and looking to keep that rolling. Like I said, working through the technical issues. I am posting more on TikTok right now at JOwensFF, and I am also taking my takes here and I'm putting them on Twitter and giving more detailed analysis at JOwens_FF. And as always, follow right here, subscribe right here, get the noties on right here on the Player Profiler Now Plus page. We got some great shows coming up. I think, what is it, next week or is it the following week? I gotta look here. In a couple weeks, I got a special guest coming on that I'm excited about. We're gonna be doing a little bit of a fun for election day type show where we're putting in our votes for like some superlative type categories here for some players. So stay tuned for that. I'll talk about it a little bit more next week as I get those details hammered out. But looking to have some fun here as we get into the middle of the season and things are try to break up the grind just a little bit for you guys. Gonna go through the usual here. Gonna get through our news. Not anything too crazy that I didn't already cover. Bryce Young left the Carolina Jets game with a sprained ankle, and he's already been ruled out for week 8. So we get a guaranteed week 8 game out of Andy Dalton. And I think that's honestly like Bryce Young had stepped up a little bit in the past couple weeks, but I just think that Andy Dalton is Joe Flacco light. He is Flacco light where he's going to come in, he's going to throw the ball enough, and he knows as the veteran backup what to do with the ball. He's not going to hold on to it. He's not going to try to make these crazy plays. He's going to get the ball into the hands of his playmakers like Tedero and McMillan. And then I think we're going to see a little bit more reliance here with Chuba and Rico in the run game. I think that if Carolina is able to establish that early and hold on to any type of lead, that's going to be their preferred method. We saw it last year. I think we're going to see it again. The defense does look a little bit better. So I don't think that it's going to be shootout city with Andy Dalton this time around, but I do think that we see a bit more efficiency out of our pass catchers here, and the running backs are going to get a bump in volume here. So I think Tedero McMillan going to be perfectly fine. Anyone else in that pass catching group? Leggett had the big game, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm going to stick with T-Mac, and that's about it. And then Dowdle, Chuba for the running backs here. Some bad news here. Kendre Miller tore his ACL. That has been confirmed as well. You hate to see that. The dude finally started to break out after being just completely buried by Dennis Allen. And then, of course, just the universe playing a sick joke on Kendre Miller. He tears his ACL against the Chicago Bears defense led by Dennis Allen. So that was just insult to injury for the poor guy. In terms of fantasy, Devin Neal is the current next man up. And he's more of a deep league stash or a dynasty stash, or like if you have him on your dynasty roster and you're like a rebuild team, you can go ahead and try and flip him now for anything that you can get, or maybe just hold and see if Kamara gets dealt anywhere and then try to flip at that point. But I don't think that he's going to have much value. I don't think that Kamara is going to have much value moving forward either, as long as Rattler is the quarterback. Rattler is pushing the ball to the outsides before we've seen these bad quarterbacks just rely heavily on Kamara, dump off city, and it just hasn't been there this year. So I think we're going to see more of that where it's going to be ugly. It's going to be tough sledding for Kamara, where he's going to get the bulk of the New Orleans volume, but it's not that much and it's not good. So Kamara looking like a bust here this year due to those reasons, unless he can find his way out. Or maybe if Shuck comes in and is heavily reliant on the dump off game. But those are all very much copium, like just wish casting at that point. Jaden Daniels also left the game with the Commanders and the Cowboys. He left the game with a hamstring injury, most likely seeing him sit out week 8. I feel like Washington's not trying to rush him back. That's their future. So why, like they're kind of learning to not rush their star quarterback, their franchise quarterback from injuries, especially when they're so banged up everywhere else. It's not like this is the final piece of Exodia that they need to complete their playoff push here. They're struggling, and they're right now in a tough division where all of these teams are pretty damn competitive, even the Giants, which is crazy to say. So I think we get another week of Mariota, which sucks. Honestly, Mariota did not do great in terms of distributing to anyone except for Debo, and that was without McLaurin. So we'll see what it looks like with if we can get Debo back, if we can get McLaurin back any day now, hopefully for both these guys, because Washington needs it. Washington is devoid of weapons right now. We'll talk more about them later, especially like the running back situation. But yeah, so it looks like week 8, Mariota, if not more extended stint here from Mariota's, and that's just, I mean, obviously it's a huge downgrade in general. I think if Debo or McLaurin comes back one before the other, they get boosted up because they get the primary target for a backup quarterback bump, where it's just a funnel. So we'll keep an eye on the reports. There's a lot of injuries to watch here in Washington. So keep an eye on those reports today, tomorrow, Thursday, to see who is going to be back for the Sunday slate here. Washington is looking at going into Kansas City. So even if any of these guys do come back, I don't know about you, but I'm not confident in that with Mariota under center. One last injury to go over here. Darren Waller is week to week with a pec injury. There was rumors that whispers that it could be a full pec tear. It has been determined to just be a pec strain. So he is week to week. I don't care. Drop him. I'm not holding on to that. I'm not going down with the Miami ship right now. I think that Waller, at his age and the fact that it took him so long just to get to this point, I'm not looking to bank on that for him coming back, especially with an upper body pec injury. I feel like that's tough for a tight end to do any blocking, to do any catching. So drop Darren Waller with confidence. Go get a guy like Oronde Gadsden. Go do the fab dump. Honestly, I've never really gonna like be one to do a big fab dump on a tight end, but Gadsden is absolutely worth it. He's one of those guys that seems like you can just lock him in and he's going to get enough targets that it doesn't matter if he doesn't fully perform. The targets are going to keep him in your lineup on a weekly basis. So he's going to become a set it and forget it type tight end here with how much the Chargers are passing. So Gadsden is going to be my top waiver claim this week. Going to go ahead and just get that out of the way right now. Or Oronde Gadsden. And then if anyone drops Harold Fannin, he is someone that I think people might drop him for Gadsden because they saw the just flipping stat lines. But we'll talk about Fannin a little bit later. I think that if he does get dropped, you go scoop that up right away because Fannin's going to be fine. Fannin is going to be fine. Gadsden's the new shiny rookie tight end toy that everyone wants to pick up and play with. And for obvious reasons, better offense, better team. But I think that Fannin, if he gets dropped, is going to be a cheaper pickup that is going to be just fine for you on a weekly basis. But that's all I got for the news. Going to go ahead and flip over to our recap section. Trying to split it up a little bit this time. Normally I just go game by game and try to give like those takes there, but I'm going to hit the major stories up top here after the break. And then we'll go game by game for some of the lesser things just to make sure that every team gets covered and some of those deeper stories get covered. But I really want to put a heavy emphasis here in the middle with some stories where maybe I was wrong on some of these guys. And there's just some interesting things to look out for. So going to go ahead and jump into that. But first, got to talk about Fast Draft. I didn't get into the Flex 6 frenzy. This past week has been a little bit crazy. My 2-year-old's going through some sleep regression, some teething, and has entered her terrible twos era. So didn't find the time, even though, which is crazy. Fast Draft literally takes like 2 minutes, but just didn't find time before the Flex 6 frenzy filled up. So didn't get in those streets this week, but looking to get back in for week 8 on a very tight slate with so many buys out there. I think that there's a good opportunity to really take advantage of some of these guys that you normally wouldn't be able to draft and plug into a DFS lineup. So we'll take a look at those through the week. But as always, like I said, Flex 6 Frenzy is my favorite DFS draft out there right now. It's my favorite DFS period right now. If you're going to go ahead and use Fast Draft, make sure you're using code JOwensFF to get a $50 deposit match. And let's kick it over to the Podfather to go into more detail.
I know your sad draft season is over, but just because the NFL season starts doesn't mean the drafting stops. Because Fast Draft has the Flex 6 Frenzy. You're drafting 6 guys for the Sunday slate against 9 other competitors. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun. And as with everything on Fast Draft, there are no salaries. Woo! So go to draftfaster.com, get the app, use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
And like I've been saying the past 2 weeks, they have changed the 10-man pods to 8-man pods. So like I said, faster, more points. Love to see that. Use code JOwensFF when you deposit to get a $50 deposit match. I mean, that's 10 entries into the Flex 6 frenzy right there. Going to go back to KJ here. I realized that I only answered the second half of your question. I didn't answer your first half. My bad on that. Tuesday morning feels like a Monday morning sometimes, and that's where I'm at, trying to get the caffeine flowing. woke up a little bit hazy with the allergies. But you did say should I drop Hendo for Kyle, Monangai, or Brashard Smith? And yes, you should. Either one. I like. It's tough because I think that Monangai kind of got more work this week because he was in more of a blowout type situation. I don't think that he's going to work his way to a 50-50 split with Swift, but I think that if there was an injury, I think Monangai would be better than Smith. Like if Pacheco and Hunt go down, or if Pacheco goes down, I think it's going to be Smith and Hunt still splitting. Whereas I think if Swift goes down, Monangai is going to be the dude. Roshan Johnson is dead out there. He is not being used at all. I like Kyle Monangai as a stash. Henderson, like I said, that's going to be one of my major stories here is just what the fuck is happening there, man? What is going on? So Henderson, absolutely okay to drop him. If you can trade him because someone's going to think that it's like there's some value to salvage there, go for it. But I have zero problem dropping Henderson right now for a Kyle Monangai or a Brashard Smith. I like both of them. Like I said, I think if you need a play for week 8, Brashard Smith is who I would grab. If you need a stash, Kyle Monangai is who I would grab. That's how I would do it. Sorry for missing that on the first go around. Like I said, I got so wrapped up in the Juwan Jennings situation that I forgot about the first half of your question. So I hope you stuck around and had appreciate your patience there. But like I said, I'm going to be doing a little bit different of a setup here with the recap. We're going to be looking at some top stories, and then we'll jump into the game-by-game situation. Starting with the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think I might have been a week too early on being out on Travis Hunter. I was feeling it was a fool me once, fool me twice situation with the Jags, where at first they said they were going to start working on getting more deep shots to Hunter. They literally didn't do that. The next game, he came back with like a 2.28 out or something stupid like that. And then this past week, they said they want to get Travis Hunter more involved and make him the primary target on some of these games. And it kind of seems like they're sticking to that one. It's tough to tell on this because it was such a garbage time game where from the get-go, the Rams were just smacking up the Jaguars. And when it was first half, when it was within 3 scores, there was nothing there for Hunter. There was nothing there for BTJ. There was nothing there for the Jaguars. The Jaguars looked lost. So I don't want to say I'm fully bought back in on Travis Hunter, but I do think that he is deserving of a roster spot. I don't think he's a cut bait guy like I was saying last week. I think I was a week too soon. I should have just been a little bit more patient on that one. I felt like the 8 out wasn't there, but I do want to see in a truly competitive game what it looks like for the Jacksonville Jaguars passing game. And unfortunately, we do have to wait 2 weeks to see that because they are on bye. So maybe out of the bye week, we see, as we always do with rookies, we see the rookie bump. They get a solid matchup right out of the bye. So it could be week 9 could be huge for Travis Hunter if they stick to that plan. I do think that Brian Thomas is also kind of just banged up a little bit. We saw him pull a little bit of a waddle where he took a hit across the middle, was shaken up a little bit, came out, came in type situation. But it's just him and Lawrence still had the 2 games where they looked like they were on track, but it looks like they have lost their page once again and just not looking good. 7 targets for Thomas, 10 targets for Parker Washington. And then where is my Travis Hunter? I hate how Sleeper does that, where I have to physically search him because he's listed as a DB. That's ridiculous. And then 14 targets for Hunter. So like I said, I think that Thomas was dealing with an injury situation. So, and it was also an absolute blowout. If he's already feeling kind of banged up, why keep him out there? So we'll see in more competitive games what Jacksonville looks like. But Travis Hunter, hope you didn't drop him. If someone did drop him, go scoop him. He would be another priority add on the waiver wire. Even with the bye week, I'd eat that roster spot if I could to hold on to Travis Hunter for the hopes that he's a mid-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 2 on a weekly basis here. We talked about Kyle Monangai just before with that question from KJ, and I do want to talk about DeAndre Swift. He is an absolute beast these 2 games out of the bye week. He is looking like he's running with a purpose. Like before, we had heard all of it before with Swift, where he just didn't seem like he cared. He was so nonchalant. He was so quiet. He just didn't have the passion. And that's what kind of got him moved out of Detroit. He went to Philadelphia, had a solid season, but then got moved on out for Saquon to come in. And then he's in the Bears, and he was just kind of doing the same thing where he's there, he's good, he's all right. And then I don't know if it's like the second go around with Ben Johnson, he seems bought in. He seems bought in, and he's being rewarded for it. He is just getting fed, and he looks good. This is back-to-back games where he's got over 20 opportunities. Three games in a row where he's got 20 or more opportunities, and he has just been delivering three games with 14 plus fantasy points, the past 2 20 plus out of the bye. And he's all over the place. He's getting, they're getting good pushes. The offense finally looks like it's clicking. Like the scheme looks like it's there. They just need to execute a little bit better in Chicago. But they won 2 in a row. They're looking good. They're looking strong. They're looking good coming out of the bye. And I think that DeAndre Swift is going to be a buy high. I think that he is absolutely, like, if you want a running back right now, you send whatever the hell you need to go get DeAndre Swift. Great. The only thing is, like, the playoff schedule seems rough, but if you need someone to make a playoff push, he gets Baltimore next week. He gets Cincinnati the week after that, the Giants after that, Minnesota after that, Pittsburgh after that. That's 5 games in a row of run defenses that are very, very easily beaten. So I think right now DeAndre Swift is an absolute buy high. He might not be able to be the league winner in the playoff weeks, but if you are a team that is in the middle towards the bottom and you need these next weeks to be just dub after dub after dub, I think DeAndre Swift is going to smash here for the next 5 weeks. He's already got 2 20-point games in a row here, and I think we're going to be ready for 5 great matchups for him here. And that's really, like, that's hard to find. That's hard to find a stretch like that where you can get 7 great games out of a running back here. So go test those waters with Swift if you need a running back, if you need to make that push here. Looking at another NFC team, we got Philadelphia. Is the passing game fixed? It seems like they broke Saquon, but maybe they fixed the passing game in the process. I'm not sure. Obviously, I told you guys I did not like the Minnesota matchup last week, and what the hell do I know apparently about Minnesota's defense? It seemed like the absolute flip where Minnesota was so much more susceptible to the run, and their secondary and their pass rush just made it hard for the passing game to get going. And then Philadelphia comes out and just says, Saquon's not going to get it done. Let's just chuck it up to Devonta Smith and AJ Brown 17 times. And they got 3 touchdowns, 300 yards between the two of them. What? It feels like it's another situation here where we saw it week 2 where it happened with AJ Brown, week 3 with AJ Brown. But I am just very much afraid of the consistency. We haven't seen the consistency out of the passing game in Philadelphia. And I don't know if we do. We haven't seen consistency with the offense of Philadelphia. The only one who is consistent is Jalen Hurts. And that's because you can bank on either one deep bomb or you just know that, like, they're going to score points, but you don't know where it's going to come from. We've seen Goddard. We've seen tush push. We've seen AJ Brown blow up. We've seen, it's nice to see Devonta Smith have his blow up game here, but it's been so all over the place that I don't know what to do with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think if you can sell high right now. They got, they have a solid schedule coming up. They have, like, there's nobody that scares me off of this. So honestly, like, maybe buy high, maybe wait and see if they have another down week and buy low. I don't know. I do want these 2 wide receivers, obviously, but it's going to be tough to peel them away after this type of game. Barkley, maybe a buy low as well. I did try to say sell him last week if you have him, but I think that window has closed. If you sell now, you're kind of at the selling at the bottom. So I think maybe it's time to flip that and go into a buy situation. It's weird. This is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row under 60 yards on the ground for Saquon. He did have a game out there with 58 receiving yards against Denver, 31 receiving yards against Tampa. So he has been able to salvage it occasionally with the passing game, but I mean, just it's looking gross out there. It's really weird to see this offensive line struggle this bad. I know there's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of guys banged up, but I think if you can buy low right now on Saquon, he's still got the talent. This team is still competitive. And we know that in games where they can just run the ball, they will just run the ball. So I think that right now is a good time to buy at the bottom for Saquon. And I'm not calling for RB1 numbers, RB1 overall numbers to finish off the season, but I think that we see better than what we're getting here down the stretch, especially after the bye. You got to think after the bye, they're going to fix things up here in week 10 forward. So that's my take there on the Eagles. Moving over to another running back situation. Got a lot of pretty much all the top stories are running back related. Flipping over to the Carolina Panthers, touched on it a little bit with Andy Dalton being the quarterback. I think that we see more reliance on the run game from the Panthers. I think that both Chuba and Rico are going to be flex-worthy players. I did call and expected to see a 60-40 split in favor of Rico this first week, just due to the fact that Chuba's coming back from injury. We did not see that. We saw straight 50-50. It was Chuba to start, and then Rico came in. Rico looked better, but that's to be expected with Chuba coming off of the injury, off of the long recovery. I mean, he missed, 2-3 weeks? 2 weeks, obviously, because Rico had the 2 30-point games back-to-back. So I think that with Chuba getting more and more healthy, we kind of start to see it slip back more to like a 60-40 split, with Chuba being the primary, Rico being the secondary. But I think it's going to stick at that 60-40 situation here. But again, I think that Carolina is going to be more focused on their run offense with Andy Dalton back there as the quarterback. So I think we see both of these guys have flex-worthy ability. Like I said, both guys kind of equally involved in terms of like rushing and passing. Like Rico got a couple more carries, Chuba got a couple more targets. So they're very equal. They're very much a 50-50 split all the way through. So you got to have both these guys on a team. You can't drop Rico back out there after what you saw him do. He's like one of the best handcuff plus running backs out there right now. So it's going to be interesting to see really, as Chuba gets more healthy, if they do a full shift back to the 65-35, or if we stick here at this 50-50, 60-40 type deal. I'm hoping for a 60-40 deal because, I mean, like I said, Rico's just looked good. Rico's looked better than Chuba. Obviously, injury plays into that, but I want to see Rico continue to get the run out there. But it really caps both these guys in this 50-50 scenario. But still both flexible players, both guys that can score big touchdowns, can be relied upon by this Carolina offense with Andy Dalton under center. Flipping over to a lesser offense, which is tough to say when we're going from Carolina, but the Tennessee running backs. Tennessee did say they were going to go with a more simplified offense, and we definitely saw that. We saw a lot more layup throws for Cam Ward. But what I noticed the most was they finally started passing to running backs. I did not understand why the game plan was downfield only for Cam Ward as a rookie with a beat up offensive, with not a great offensive line, with not the best weapons to throw the ball downfield to. I was very confused why there were so few targets to the running backs. And we saw that script get flipped here in week 7. Fantasy Condo, good morning. Sipping some coffee as always. Wake and take, baby. Thank you for that pause there. Help me get a good sip in. But yeah, going back to the Tennessee running backs, they had a combined, and I say combined as if like it wasn't Tony Pollard for 6 of those 7, or for 5 of those 6 weeks. But there was a total of 18 targets weeks 1 through 6 for the Tennessee running backs, primarily Tony Pollard. And in week 7 here, with this simplified offense, new play calling, new, dead cat bounce for Tennessee, 10 targets to the running backs. 10 targets for the running backs, and that is important. That is exactly what I want to see out of this Tennessee offense. We saw 6 targets to Pollard, 4 targets to Spears. So I think that if that is the trend, I think that the floor is going to be safe for Pollard. If he is going to be the primary receiving back as well. I think that Pollard is going to be perfectly fine in terms of floor. There's no ceiling there, but if you just need someone to plug in and not kill you, I think Tony Pollard is the way to go. They were at a 60-40 split, Pollard to Spears. And honestly, we could see Tony Pollard get moved. Tennessee has already said they're willing to trade anybody except for Simmons and Ward. Tony Pollard is not a necessity right now. They have Tyjae Spears. They don't need another running back right now because they're not competitive. They can go get a running back, like a couple running backs next season in terms of free agency, draft, anything. So I don't think that Tony Pollard is a priority for this Tennessee Titans team. And there are a ton of injuries out there. There are a ton of teams looking for running back depth. We could see Tony Pollard on the move here. And in that case, Tyjae Spears takes over and he becomes the Tony Pollard from weeks 1 through 6, except with passing work now, which would be huge. That's Tyjae Spears. That's his bag, baby. So if Spears is out there hanging out on your waiver wires, definitely go. I would scoop him. He's definitely worth a speculative scoop. 42% rostered on Sleeper right now. So he's out there a lot. And I think he's worth a roster spot because we are getting into that stage where we do see some of these guys get moved. And it could be just a huge opportunity for Spears here. The J works. Pollard won't get catches with Ridley in. I mean, is Ridley on the move too? Like, what? Like, I doubt Ridley's on the move, and I get that he was out, but also like, it's not like Ridley was doing good. It's not like Ridley was. He had one game. He had one game. Yeah, one big game, 10 targets. He's had games with 3 targets. I'm not counting the game where he left early because that's 10% of snaps, 1 target, but 3 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets, 8 targets. Yeah, like obviously I don't think that they feed Pollard as much in the passing game, but who else are we looking at? DK, Van Jefferson, Eligay Minor, Tyler Lockett got released. Not like he was getting any targets, but I mean, they're clearly shedding people here, and they're just looking to see what they got. So that's why I think Spears is a good snag here, because I think that we could see Pollard on the move. Stashing Jerome Ford. I mean, as a pure handcuff, yeah, sure. But I don't think that even if Judkins goes down, it's going to go back to like a 50-50 split with Sampson and Ford. I don't think it's going to be the Jerome Ford handcuff that we've seen in the past. Even when Judkins was out, it was never just Jerome Ford. It was a split between Sampson, Ford. So if you need a stash, I think there's better guys out there. But if that's the best stash that's available, I mean, any handcuff right now is necessary. But Judkins is that dude. He's young. He's fine. He doesn't seem like he's banged up at all. So not a priority stash for me here. Last running back that I'm going to talk about here in the big topics is going to be Travion Henderson. You guys already heard me talk about it a little bit earlier from KJ's question. Henderson is a drop. You can't justify holding on to that guy on your roster right now. You can't justify plugging him in into your seasonal leagues. Dynasty, obviously hold. You can't drop a guy that was drafted in the 2nd round with the profile that he has. You can't drop that in Dynasty. I'm not saying that. Seasonal leagues, drop him. There's no point in hanging on to this guy. Jerome Ford for a possible trade. Okay. I don't. Maybe, but that's that. I feel like that's speculative. But yeah, just Travion Henderson right now is an absolute disaster, and he is not going like. You can drop him, and it's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks for him to even maybe be rosterable again. So don't feel like you're missing out anything here. He had 15% of snaps. Gross. 89% of those were 79% were Ramondre. And then Terrell Jennings, a practice squad running back who has called up the past 2 weeks, got 13% of the snaps and had 5 carries over Travion Henderson's 2 carries. There is clearly a problem here with Henderson in the building, with Mike Vrabel, with this offense, he's either not present mentally, like with the team. He's maybe missing blocking assignment. I don't know what it is. It's a lot of things, obviously, because this is just insane. But even when Trayvon Henderson was getting work, even when Antonio Gibson goes down and you're thinking this is an opportunity slot, he just wasn't able to get anything. And you can't blame that all on coaching. You can't say this is the coaches being egregious or like missing something here. This is a problem with Henderson first, and also like maybe just a fit problem. But in terms of fantasy football, I don't care what the problem is. You need to just get that off your roster. Get just gone. Be gone. Let it forget. MV Prof, I see Hendo and Pearsall killed your bench all season. Yeah. I mean, it's been insane. And like, obviously Pearsall's injury related, but Henderson is just performance related. Henderson is just can't get on the damn field. 13 or 50, 15% of snaps is just it's unrosterable. I don't care what the upside is. You can't do it. So drop Henderson in all seasonal leagues. Like you cannot have that on your roster. That is just going to be a dead spot for who knows how long. If there is somebody out there that is just huffing on the copium as much as possible and you can get literally a bag of chips for it, go for it. But yeah, exactly like you said, MV Prof, 5 carries for Jennings, 5 carries for Terrell Jennings. I don't even know who Terrell Jennings is. 5 carries for him, 2 for Henderson, 0 targets. Ramondre wheels up for the rest of the season. I know he's going to have some disappointing weeks, but the volume is too much to just not stick with Ramondre. I mean, 18 carries, 2 targets, 88 yards and a touchdown. That's great. That's 16 fantasy points right there. That's exactly what you love to see. So, I mean, you stick with Ramondre and that's it here. But drop TreVeyon Henderson. Drop him. Those were the big stories that I had. Like I said, it was all running back related. So, except for Travis Hunter, don't go out there. Don't go out there and be crazy bullish on Travis Hunter. I want to see a little bit more consistency, but it does look like we're seeing that turn maybe out of the bye week. If you're a contender and you got to, you can go scoop him from someone that doesn't want to wait, go for it. Go buy high on DeAndre Swift right now, especially if you're a team that's kind of stuck in the middle or towards the bottom looking to make a playoff push here. Swift, 5 weeks, big games here that I expect for him. Buy low on Saquon Barkley, and then stick with Chuba and Rico. And then, like I said, the Tennessee passing to the running backs is a good sign. Scoop Tyjae Spears because we could see a changing of the guard. And then as long as Pollard is still being the primary, he's a very safe floor in a very unsafe position at the running back. But I'm going to flip over to the game-by-game breakdown here. Let's see here. Nico out. Nico. Really? I did not see that. Oh, I didn't even realize that it was a concussion. Oh, Nico with a 4th quarter concussion. I told you, I'm sorry. I fell asleep during that game. I am a East Coast dad over here who is dealing with a 2-year-old going through sleep regression. So did not stay up to see that. I did not even know that. I didn't even catch that on the news. So yeah, Nico with a concussion on a Monday night usually doesn't bode well, but that's tough. We got to see how it plays out here. So yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on how he's progressing through the concussion protocol. But yeah, agreed, MV Prof. Too early to call there because, yeah, the only reason I wanted to hang on MV Prof was I had JSN and Woody Marks that I needed to get a couple more points from to win, and I could not. Came up just short, but it was my fault. I made so many roster blunders. So yeah, so at the JWorks, I see now Nico with the concussion, but we'll just have to see how he progresses through the protocol. It's too early to call now. Obviously, the Monday night game, giving him one less day, kind of sucks. So we might, but just keep an eye on those practice reports here. But yeah, like I said, going to go game by game once again. Starting with the Thursday night game, we saw, Joe Flacco Joe Flacco, our Lord, our Savior, bringing back Chase and Higgins from the dead. Even Chase Brown, he brought back from the dead, which is just insane. He is saving. This season was talked about. Everyone said Dallas Cowboys, Cincinnati Bengals, those are the teams you want to just super stack. And the Cowboys is working. We missed CD for a couple weeks, but it's still working over there. The Cincinnati Bengals had Jake Browning just absolutely having people just sobbing in the shower repeatedly. But Flacco has us so back. We are so back with the Cincinnati Bengals. 33 targets between Ja'Marr Chase and Tee Higgins. 23 of those for Ja'Marr Chase. What? This is DeAndre Hopkins with whatever ragtag set of quarterbacks are out there for Houston all those years ago. Ja'Marr Chase is going to just be the absolute funnel. He is going to be fed, and he can do so much with so little. Like this is what Jake Browning should have been doing. Just Ja'Marr Chase locked in. Like this is what you can expect every single week. Cincinnati's defense, terrible. Cincinnati's offensive line, terrible. So the running game's not going to take much. And Joe Flacco knows what to do. Joe knows. Been saying it for 2 weeks now. Joe knows. Everyone said, Flacco's not that big of an upgrade over Browning. What? Look at those stats and tell me that. Tell me that. So yeah, Joe Flacco is saving us here. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. And like I said, Chase Brown even looked all right. He broke 100 yards for the first time this year, and he got back up. The important thing, he got back up to a 65% snap share over Samaje Perine's 39%. We had seen 2 weeks in a row where Perine was 50-50 with Brown, and that had me very concerned. Seeing this 65% snap share, seeing him get a breakaway run, he did drop a pass, like a wheel route that would have been great. But at the same time, like I think that Chase Brown is working his way back to being startable again, especially, like I said, there's so many injuries. We saw an 11-point game from Woody Marks be a top 20 running back. Chase Brown, definitely going to be startable here if he can continue to just do what he did this past week. It's not going to be pretty. You're not going to enjoy watching it, but it's going to help you out in fantasy. Jay works with Nico out, with Nico potentially missing with a concussion. Schultz rises now. Schultz is nothing but a PPR tight end premium type guy. I mean, 9 for 10 for 98 was great, but it's gross. I think Jalen Noel is going to be the primary beneficiary if Nico goes out, because it's going to be short, easy targets. I think, like I said, at the tight end position, sure, but I'm not excited about it. We've seen Schultz just do nothing with what he gets. He just kind of catches it and then falls. So not really looking forward to that. But like I said, I'll keep an eye on the Houston situation. We'll go back over it on Thursday to kind of see where things are falling. If we can maybe get Christian Kirk back, that obviously changes everything. So just going to hold on to that and wait and see the practice reports for Houston as we get to the Thursday show and kind of reassess there. But for the game by game, on the Pittsburgh side, it's Jaylen Warren's backfield. As we talked about earlier, Gainwell dropped down to 37% of the snaps compared to the 67% for Jaylen Warren. And Jaylen Warren got 80% of the opportunities. We know that Tomlin doesn't like to do a split backfield, and that is even more apparent now. It's Warren and Warren only. You can go ahead and drop Gainwell if you picked him up, unless, of course, you're in one of those leagues like KJ was talking about where you get return yardage. Gainwell might still be a decent handcuff plus type stash. But if you need a roster spot for anyone to plug in now, or maybe even like a more premium handcuff plus type guy, you can go ahead and drop Gainwell. DK is back into the concerning zone for me. We had those 2 weeks where it looked promising, where the volume was there and the ADOT was rising, and we've kind of seen it come back to where it was in the first 4 weeks of Pittsburgh football, where the volume isn't there. Like there's not a lot of pass attempts going around in general. And it's not like DK's the red zone target right now. It's not like DK's getting these deep targets. It's been very ugly for DK. If he's not taking a yak catch to the house, you're very disappointed. The deep shots aren't really happening. He only has 52 he's 292 air yards. That's wide receiver 52 in the NFL right now. His ADOT is a 9.4. which is wide receiver 66 in the NFL right now. Like, it's just, like I said, there's not enough passing volume in this offense to justify that low ADOT. A1 Alex, morning, man. Cheers. Hope you got your coffee ready. We're trying to wake up DK Metcalf right now. Or maybe open up Aaron Rodgers' eyes to get him off the ayahuasca, get him on some good espresso here, to see that DK Metcalf is more than a short yardage type guy. And honestly, it's probably Arthur Smith's fault as well. But really, there's just nothing here about DK Metcalf's game that is making me excited. Obviously, he's the top target on this offense, but does that really matter? It's only a 22% target share. And it's only amounted to weeks 1 through 6, 36 targets. That's wide receiver 37 in the NFL. And in terms of red zone targets, he's at a 21% red zone target share, and that's wide receiver 31. So it's not even like he's the red zone target. That's clearly, we saw this game. The red zone plan is run the ball or throw to one of the 3 tight ends. Each tight end got a touchdown catch in the red zone here this week, and Pat Freiermuth had the one big bomb as well. So I am full panic on DK Metcalf. If he has a good game here soon, I'm looking to immediately flip and sell here. He had the 2 good games. Maybe you can still sell for something off of the Minnesota and Cleveland game, but I'm out. I don't want to be on this roller coaster ride with DK Metcalf with Aaron Rodgers at the helm and Arthur Smith calling the plays. I'm not confident at all. And you also got to think those 2 big games. One was against Cleveland that you can't run against, and then the other one was Minnesota where Jaylen Warren was missing. Coincidence? I think not. So DK worried, panicky. Going to the London game, we had the Rams smack up the Jacksonville Jaguars. Already talked about the Jaguars a little bit with Travis Hunter, but the offense in general for Jacksonville is a problem. They got bailed out with the garbage time touchdown to salvage a little bit of Trevor Lawrence's game and Travis Hunter's game. But it's been so bad whenever the Jags go down and they have to lean on T-Law. It's been bad. The only time that he looked good was when he ran the ball a bunch against Kansas City. He hasn't looked good throwing the ball all season. And really the only way that he looks passable is when the Jags are in a flow and they're able to work with a lead with ETN running the ball more than Trevor Lawrence passing the ball. I knew that there was a little bit of a tough stretch here, but I did not predict this bad of a tough stretch for the Jags. Where, like I said, if ETN's not getting going early, he's not getting going at all. Once they flip into panic mode and just have Lawrence throwing the ball a bunch, it's just not pretty. The offense has no flow, has no rhythm, has no groove. So after the bye week next week, there is a little bit of relief here. They do get a decent little stretch here. Like I said, they get the Vegas Raiders week 9 out of the bye. Then they get Houston week 10. So those are 2 games where I think Travis Etienne can get back on track. We know that Houston's a lot more susceptible to the run than the pass. Their pass rush is great. Their secondary is pretty strong. So I think that we see the script flip back to ETN a little bit here coming out of the bye for Jacksonville, especially in those first 2 weeks. So hopefully that gets him and this Jaguars offense back on track as they try to make a playoff push here. On the flip side, I called it. Matt Stafford was going to be a top 7 quarterback, and guess what? Top 4, baby. Top 4. Just 5 tutties. 5 tutties. All five touchdowns came out of Matt Stafford's hand. Just Kyron Williams, get out of here on the goal line. We're throwing 1-yard fades to Devontae Adams. And this is exactly what I said. Everyone overreacted. Everyone said, no Puka. And it came off a bad game in Baltimore. You got to stick with the dude. Stafford is Stafford. And as long as one of Puka or Devontae are on the field, he's going to be perfectly fine. He knows how to work with nothing, and he has 1 to 2 elite wide receivers at a time with Puka and Adams. So another guy that's going on bye next week, but just a juicy looking schedule here. It's Stafford season. From here on out, I have no problem starting Stafford on a weekly basis. He's had he started off with 2 meh fantasy games in the first 3 weeks, but those were against some pretty good pass defenses where it's not the defenses that you can really like get established and chuck the ball around on with Houston and Philly. And then he had the Tennessee game out there as well, where it just didn't look great because like it's Tennessee. Like you don't need to do that much against Tennessee. But ever since then, and the Baltimore blip was honestly, that's another one of those things where it's Puka goes down and the game plan is just, and they didn't need Stafford to have a big game. So I think coming out of the bye, it's wheels up for Matty Ice. Stafford is going to be amazing. He is someone that I am holding on to in my main league through the bye because I think he's just going to smash from here on out. Don't panic on Kyron. The Corum touches were because it was a blowout. Not gonna go too much into that, but yeah. For the Chicago New Orleans game, I'm gonna try to pick it up here because we are at an hour 10 and I am not even through a lot of these games. So I'm gonna pick it up. So apologies here. But stash Kyle Monangai. I think that he is going to be a premium stash handcuff running back. I don't think he's a handcuff plus quite yet. Another game where I think that the game script kind of got out of hand for the Bears versus the Saints, where they were able to see what Monangai had, and he looked good. He looked pretty good, but I think this offense in general is looking good. They're setting up the run so well. The scheming is good, which is look at the Detroit Lions. Like obviously, like it wasn't all Ben Johnson, but Ben Johnson picked up on a lot of those things. He's helped scheme and set up a lot of those things. Like he's not just going to like leave Detroit, go to Chicago and forget how to run the ball. He just needed to get it established. Like it's a lot of moving pieces with the offensive line and coordination. So I think that they're finally getting it. And I think that the running back for Chicago is going to be a premium spot here. And I think Monangai is a premium handcuff stash. Go stash him if you got the spot. I know we got bye weeks and injuries, but if you got an open roster spot, Monangai is a priority stash for me. Another quiet game for Rome Odunze, but you got to stick with him. He is the wide receiver one here. I think that defenses have kind of shifted towards stopping Odunze and having the rest of the Chicago Bears beat them. And they clearly have been. Swift has been going off. Jay Works, drop Henderson for Monangai. Yes, absolutely. Drop Henderson for anyone. You could literally pick up anybody and drop Henderson, and I would say that's a W for you. But Monangai, absolutely. Odunze had another quiet game, but you got to stick with it. They're going to get back on track. They're not going to be able to just run the ball a million times and win games here in Chicago. DJ Moore had a decent game. This has just kind of been the DJ Moore whatever, where he's at that 6 to 10 point range where he's not killing you, but he's not helping you at all. So I don't want to start him, but you can't really do anything else with him right now because if anything happens to Odunze or if they finally start to get things back on track here, especially with some juicy matchups coming up, I would hold on to DJ Moore and spot start him where you need. On the Saints side, Olave and Rashid Shaheed just completely flip-flopped in what their roles were. Shaheed got all of the empty calorie targets this week come around, and then Olave, who has been starving us for calories, finally delivers on 2 big touchdowns, like not even like goal line or like just short yardage or like happenstance touchdowns, like big, deep touchdowns here from Olave. So love seeing that. He's been someone that you have to stick with due to the target volume. And now that we're finally seeing the ceiling here out of Olave, I think you stick with them and you keep going there. Briefly going to talk about Miami, Cleveland here. Not much from Miami. Like I said, drop Darren Waller week to week with a pec injury. Don't care. Miami's going down the drain rather quickly here. We don't even know how much longer Tua is going to be in the game and how soon Quinn Ewers comes in to replace him. I don't think it matters. Both are going to be rough watches. I'd still rather have Tua out there because he knows what to do in the NFL, and that's get the ball to your playmakers. So you still got to stick with Achane and Waddle due to the volume. Obviously, down game here, but the wind in Cleveland made it damn near impossible to have anything going in the passing game. So stick with Achane and Waddle here. For the Cleveland Browns, I think Fannon's going to be fine. Again, only 5 targets. So you're like, whoa, what the hell? He's supposed to be a target hog, but that was 28% of the passes for Cleveland. It was a windy game, and Kinshawn Judkins had 3 touchdowns on 25 carries. That's just the way that game was going to go. I knew that, you knew that, everyone knew that going into this, that it was not a passing game. in Cleveland week 7 with the wind as it was. It was very much Kinshaw Judkins type game. And I mean, bigger smash than I expected, but hell yeah. But I think that Fannin is going to be fine. Again, I think you might even see Fannin hit waiver wire. You might see him get dropped here after the waiver run because people are going to be going after Oronde Gadsden big time. So if Fannin does get dropped, go scoop him on the second run for cheap. I think that he's going to be perfectly fine here as long, like even when Njoku comes back, I think he's going to be fine. MV Prof, someone dropped Worthy in a 10-man league. Should I scoop him? I think so. Gonna perfect segue right here into the Kansas City Vegas game. I think you go ahead and you go scoop Worthy. Obviously, we knew that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to get Rice heavily involved in his first game back just to kind of get him some game feel, some game flow. And obviously, like, this was the perfect game for them to do that against the hapless Raiders. But I don't think that's going to be the permanent game plan. 10-man league is tough to hold on to a guy like Worthy because he's going to be boom bust. He has gone from a consistent role to now he's going to be boom bust. He is still banged up, but the Kansas City Chiefs are going to need him. So I think Rice being back helps Worthy get some time to heal up here. He did only play 59% of the snaps, and I think that's because the game was out of hand. They didn't need Worthy out there, and he's been hurt the entire season. He's been hurt. So I think they just wanted to get him some rest. I think he's going to be fine moving forward here. So I would, obviously depending on who you would drop for him, but I think he's worth the spot no matter what. Continuing with the Kansas City Chiefs, I'll stay here with the Chiefs. The running back situation is getting kind of interesting. I probably could have put this in one of the top stories, but I wasn't sure. But Kareem Hunt kind of looked phased out. He got injured early on and came out of the game for quite a bit, but only 18% of snaps for Kareem Hunt, 58% for Pacheco, and 38% for Smith. And then with the touches, we had Pacheco leading the room with 17 ops, and then Brashard Smith had 19 opportunities. They did get him involved. I do think that was one of those Blake Corum type deals where the game's out of hand. It's 31-0. Let's see what the rookies got. But if this continues, if this running back room can consolidate into two guys of Pacheco and Smith, I think they're both going to become fantasy relevant here. I think that Kansas City's offense is only going to go up from here. They're going to take off. So if we can get a consolidation where Pacheco is going to be between the 20s and the goal, or like the first and second down guy, and then the goal line guy, Pacheco's very usable in that situation. That's what we wanted when we drafted him at the beginning of the season. And then Brashard Smith, being a pass catching converted wide receiver gadgety guy, is going to be a boom type player, but I think that's still flex worthy on a weekly basis here if this consolidation is here to stay. We'll see. The Chiefs get Washington and Buffalo in the next 2 weeks, so I think we're going to truly see, maybe not against Washington for the fact that they're at home and Washington is so beat up right now that maybe it's just not a game here either. But I think against Buffalo, in Buffalo, we get to see what this Kansas City offense is going to look like down the stretch here. And that's exciting because they're going to go into the bye week 10 after Buffalo. And we're really going to see after that what the Kansas City offense is. And I want to see this consolidation continue next week and the week after that to get me back in on Pacheco and in on Brashard Smith. The Philadelphia game, already talked about it. Buy low on Saquon Barkley. I don't trust the passing game until I see consistency. So they're both Smith and Brown boom busty type guys. Smith a little bit more reliable just because of the targets and just the nature of AJ Brown's game. But Hurts the only guy that I'm fully confident in. You got to start Barkley, Smith, and Brown on a weekly basis though, and just hope that it gets right. Dallas Goedert a down week, but stick with him. We've seen him get many a red zone target, many a red zone touchdown. So it's just the weekly tight end roulette game that you're playing here. For Minnesota next week, Minnesota's so tough to gauge too, because we are gonna probably see JJ McCarthy here next week, if not the week after. And that's going to completely change the identity. We know that Wentz is more of the typical pocket passer, and he hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked bad. He's been okay. And with JJ McCarthy coming back, and maybe Aaron Jones, it's going to be very interesting to see what this offense looks like moving forward. I think Justin Jefferson and Addison are the only two must starts on a weekly basis, though. Jordan Mason, maybe just out of the fact of there's no running backs out there. But he's another guy. He's looked bad outside of the Cincinnati game. He has looked bad in terms of just he's gotten so much opportunity and done so little with it. He's fallen in the end zone the past 2 weeks, which has salvaged the fantasy games. But he was one of my starts last week. It didn't quite turn out the way that I expected. Like I said, he got the goal line carry and fell into the end zone. So he saved you there, but it's been ugly. So maybe if you can move on from Mason for anything right now, I do that. Because Jones is coming back, McCarthy's coming back, and I think this offense is going to not look the way that it has the past 4 weeks. So get out now while you can, in my opinion. Let's see here. Jay Works, would you rather Mason, Taylor, Otten, or Kincaid? Kincaid. Kincaid has been a big part of that passing offense. He's not on the field as much as the other guys, but I think Kincaid offers you the biggest ceiling, and the floor is honestly very similar to those other two guys. So definitely Kincaid there for me. MV Prof, I was literally just offered Brees and Olave for Genty in a 10-man standard league. Ooh, in a standard league? I'm taking Genty there. I'm sticking with Genty. I think Brees is dude, you just set me up with these segues. I love you. Set me up with these segues here into the New York Jets, where Brees Hall is a problem. This New York Jets offense is a problem. Justin Fields, the assiest of ass, benched here in this game. And we're still waiting to hear. There still hasn't been a decision of if he's going to get another shot here or if it's just time to turn the keys over to Tyrod. But even with Tyrod comes in, throws 2 picks, and can't move the ball either against Carolina, who's not the best defense. They're not the worst anymore, but they're not the best. So I think that Brees is an absolute problem. He's still going to get the volume, but unless he gets traded, Brees's outlook is grim. And in a standard league, Olave is just a PPR dude. The 2 touchdowns are nice, but it's clearly hasn't been that type of season for Olave. We might see a turn here, but I'm not expecting that weekly. I think Genty is the move still. But yeah, talking about that, the Jets team, no Garrett Wilson, obviously. Justin Fields looks so bad. He gets benched in the middle of the game once again. Tyrod Taylor comes in, looks bad. So there's just no hope here. Mason Taylor got 5 targets. So it's not even like he got like heavily targeted. Josh Reynolds led the team with 9 targets. So they need Garrett Wilson back, and they need a quarterback who can just do something. I don't know which of the two is going to do something. So I am very much just out on all Jets currently, even Brees with the volume. They get a nice juicy matchup against Cincinnati. So hopefully whoever's out there can get some confidence and get something going here before the bye on week 9 for them. But it's tough. It's tough sledding right now for the Jets. So I think you got to start Brees next week. You got to start Mason Taylor next week, but it's gross. MV Prof, flex Fannin or Kincaid this week. Who is Buffalo's playing? Carolina. Kincaid for sure. I like Fannin a lot. I think that he's going to be fine, but I want the guy tied to Josh Allen rather than the guy tied to Dylan Gabriel going up against the New England Patriots defense. So definitely Kincaid there. Moving on, we had the New England, Tennessee. I already talked. I talked about Carolina earlier. Like I said, between the Bryce Young injury, Andy Dalton stepping in, positive for T-Mac in my opinion, and then more like better efficiency for T-Mac, and then more volume for Dowdle and Chuba, who are both going to be flex plays for me moving forward until proven otherwise. Moving along to the New England, Tennessee game. Drake Maye is Himothy. 222 and 2 in the air, plus 60 yards on the ground. If we can see that rushing floor be in that 40 to 50 yard range, Maye is going to be top 5 fantasy QB locked in every single week. We haven't seen that consistency, so that's why I'm not trying to get him in there. I think he's a must start on a weekly basis, but if he wants to be in that top 5, top 4 range, he needs to start getting that running floor a little bit more. And then I already talked about Tennessee with the running backs finally catching some passes out there. We'll see what this looks like. I think we're going to start to see some pieces fall off here with Tyler Lockett being the first domino. So keep an eye on that, but just not interested in anyone outside of the running backs in Tennessee still. The Giants blew a huge lead to let Denver score 33 points and come back and win in the fourth quarter. I think that's a blessing in disguise for the Giants. They get the better draft pick here, going down to 2-5, and they're not going to be fully competitive without Malik Neighbors. So get the high draft pick, as high of a pick as you can. Let Dart and Scadaboo get just the reps and the confidence going into next year. So I think that was a best case scenario. Everyone's talking about like, oh, poor Giants fans. I think they're like, I'd be secretly happy. This is a great first step in the rebuild to see the rookie quarterback you drafted ball out, the rookie running back that you drafted in the fourth round ball out, and like you're doing this all without your stud top 10 pick wide receiver. Like, yeah, like this is great. You're getting a better draft pick, and you still get the positives of a good game. Like, obviously, it sucks losing like this, but here we are. On the flip side, I think Dart has to be in consideration for a weekly stream, a weekly start, just because he's running the ball so damn much. Another touchdown on the ground here. Scadaboo still the lead back, but Tyrone Tracy, I talked about him last week. I think he's another guy that's going to be a premium handcuff here. He's slowly working his way into handcuff plus territory with the snap share going up, but it's still the Scadaboo show. Yeah, Tracy snuck up to 38% snaps, but the bulk of the work is still going to Scadaboo. So Bo Nix, on the other hand, has been so erratic. We saw 3 quarters of just bad football play. He's been erratic in fantasy. He's been erratic throwing the ball. He bailed everybody out with a monster fourth quarter with 4 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 2 in the air. But in terms of the pass catchers, it's really tough to trust anyone outside of Cortland Sutton here in Denver. You can spot start Mims or Franklin if the matchup calls for it. How much of Mims's snap share and usage was because they were down so big and needed to do a big comeback? I don't know. I'd look for some more consistency here out of Mims, but I think Franklin is perfectly fine to be a flex spot start on a weekly basis. The snaps have been there consistently. The opportunity's been there consistently. He just hasn't had the popping games as much as we saw earlier. So I think Franklin is going to be fine, especially in Dynasty. He's another guy where if you can kind of get him for cheaper as like an added piece, I think that's a good move there. Christian Watson sighting. He's probably going to be due back soon here, but I don't care. With Green Bay, it's wide receiver roulette, and that's not anything I want to deal with. We've seen, I think it just adds more muddiness here with Dobbs, Golden, Wicks, Kraft. Like, Kraft's the only one that I want to start consistently, and then Dobbs would be the wide receiver that I'm starting for any type of floor here, because I think he's just getting the most targets consistently out of the wide receivers, but he's just not good enough to do a whole lot with it unless he's catching red zone touchdowns. But going to that Green Bay Arizona game, Josh Jacobs is him. You do not bench him, even if he's a game time decision right up to the whistle, because he can do exactly what he did. 2 touchdowns, 2 more touchdowns for Josh Jacobs, a top 5 finish here. And that's just what Jacobs does. Don't ever get scared off by that. He's a crafty vet. Unless he's out, he's in your lineup. And then, like I said, Tucker Kraft, 10 targets. Usually we see Tucker Kraft do this type of stat line with like 2 or 3 targets, but to see 10 targets is huge. Weekly top 5 tight end, top 4 tight end here for us. He works his way. He's in that second tier of tight end. He's not in the Tyler Warren, Trey McBride grouping, but he is that next grouping where you start him with confidence on a weekly basis because he can just do some magical things with as little as 2 targets. So stick with Kraft. On the Arizona side, it's another team that's kind of hard to gauge right now because of the quarterback situation. Jacoby Brissett got another start here, probably getting Kyler Murray back following the week 8 bye up against Dallas. So I would feel fine if someone drops Bam Knight to clear up some roster space because of the bye week. Go scoop Bam Knight. I think he's going to be fine for the next week here. He's the lead back. Michael Carter has been relegated once again, and we're hoping to get Trey Benson back soon. But week 9, they come back against Dallas, and that's shootout city. So be ready to start Marv Harrison and Trey McBride. Harrison's been so wishy-washy. Like, he's he's looked better, but it just isn't coming together in the stat line. So stick with him, in my opinion. You just kind of got to ride it out. He's going to be kind of that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 guy consistently. Let's see here. Happy Hudson. All last year, Jacobs was game time decision and came through. Wilson is a good insurance stash. Yeah, if you have Jacobs and you want to stash Wilson, I think that's fine. I think he's the clear handcuff there. And then Happy, we got drop Gainwell for Spears. I would probably do that. I think we're going to see Spears get more and more involved, and we're going to see Gainwell start to fall more and more behind. So I would definitely do that for sure coming into this week. Going back to the Indy Chargers game, we had JT. I mean, RB1 overall fight. It's JT, it's CMC, it's Bijan, and I think Gibbs is making his way for that fight for the top running back spot. But I mean, the fact that he's making 3 touchdowns a week, just a regularity, is absurd. If you drafted him in the second round, golf clap for you there. That was a great move. My best ball teams have been loving that because I love the round 2 running back this year. Only JT has really been panning out. Achan's been panning out a little bit too, but it doesn't feel as good as JT does. Alec Pierce in the wide receiver room is honestly, he's working his way into a great start. And he's a guy right now who is only 13% rostered on Sleeper. And he's going to be one of my priority waiver claim guys as well. He's behind, obviously, because wide receivers are less important to me than the running back stash or Oronde Gadsden this week. But 91% of snaps this week, 84% of snaps last week. Obviously, Downs wasn't in this game with a concussion, but Downs doesn't get on the field that much anyway. But 10 targets for Pierce is huge. And I think it's going to be that consistently. And he's got the big play potential. So I think Pierce is a solid, he feels like a roster clogger, but I think he's going to have great weeks coming up here. So go get Alec Pierce right now this week. He's not going to be overly expensive on the waiver wire because there are better options out there. And he didn't have a touchdown, so he doesn't have that big explosion. But the snaps say it, the targets say it. Alec Pierce is going to be a big piece of this offense moving forward here. On the Chargers side, Herbert with 55 pass attempts. I said it on Thursday that I'm afraid that Kamani Vidal might disappear due to the fact that who is Harbaugh going to put the ball in the hands of in close games? Is it going to be Kamani Vidal and Hassan Haskins? Or is it going to be his one true love, Justin Herbert? We clearly got that answer this week. It's Justin Herbert. 55 pass attempts is insane. You need to start all 3 of these wide receivers on a weekly basis. This is the game plan. The game plan is Herbo throw, Herbo throw, Herbo throw. Unless the Chargers get up in a game, I don't think we see enough volume from Vidal to consistently say that he's a must start. I think he is a flex-worthy player because he's still involved in the passing game, but the game plan for the Chargers is pass, pass, pass. Which another reason why Oronde Gadsden is a absolute fab dump. You need, like, if you don't have a McBride, go get Gadsden. Even if you have McBride, grab Gadsden to maybe flex. Good God. 164 yards, nine targets, 7 receptions, and a touchdown. Like that's huge wide receiver numbers right there. And then you put that in the tight end slot. That's a cheat code. So go dump your fab on Gadsden. I think it's going to be consistent. We've seen him now. He's been leading the tight ends in LA in snaps since week 4. And the past 2 weeks, he's had 75% and 78% of the snaps. He is their tight end. He is here, make way. Yeah, that's all I got on Gadsden. It's just go get him. Go get him and plug him in and don't think about anyone else at the tight end position. The J works, Pierce or Bourne. With the 49ers getting more healthy and Purdy probably coming back, I'm going Pierce. Bourne had those nice games, but that was out of necessity with Mac Jones out there. Again, I think we get Purdy back this week or next week, and Purdy and Bourne just don't have that same connection. So I'm going with Pierce here. Already covered Arizona than them. Washington, Dallas. Like I said, looks like we got Mariota coming up. But in terms of the running backs, it's still Bill Krosky. He's still the running back you want, but the ceiling just isn't there until they start trusting him around the goal line. We saw it with Mariota. We saw it with Jaden Daniels. They are more confident running their quarterbacks at the goal line than they are Bill Krosky merit. But the usage is just it's undeniable for Bill. So if you have to start a Commanders running back, it's Bill all the way. Just almost doubling up the snap percentage of everyone else around him, and still somewhat involved in the passing game. 13 carries, 2 targets. Jeremy McNichols did have 3 targets. He is more of the 2-minute warning back or 2-minute drill back with McNichols, but Bill is everything else. Rodriguez stole the touchdown this week, which sucks, but I think Bill's going to be fine. It's just less consistent. Like we thought that we're going to get some consistency here with the volume, but it's not there. And I think that's just also the Washington offense being injured and not being able to keep drives going is a major problem here. So we want them to get healthy. I think that's what is going to unlock Bill, is when this offense is healthy and humming. So hold on Bill right now. Don't panic sell because you're selling at the bottom. But Washington needs their weapons back, and they need them back now. CeeDee Lamb, welcome back. 74-yard touchdown in his first game back. And I mean, Pickens and Ferguson still got theirs. Pickens not the biggest of games, but still 6 targets, 4 catches for 82 yards. And then Ferg with the 7 targets and 2 tutties. Not the yardage for Ferguson, but I mean, he's a weekly touchdown threat. So he's also in that top 5 tight end weekly set it, forget it line right there, top 4 tight ends. This is the formula. The Dallas defense is bad, and it doesn't even matter if it's not a full-blown shootout. They're still putting up points. Dak is balling. Lamb and Pickens and Fergie are balling. Javonte Williams balling. You start all of your Dallas guys. You start your big 4, your big 5 in Dallas, and you have a chance for a weekly shootout. You can't turn away from that. You can't bench any of these guys right now. And then last, I got the Sunday night football game here, which was a little bit of a snooze fest. We got Atlanta being bipolar here on offense. Once again, they might be turning back into the pumpkin as they did earlier in the season. Michael Penix dealing with a bone bruise. Going to wait and see how he progresses this week. We might see some Kirk O'Chains out there, but really Bijan, you're sticking with him. He's in the running for RB1. London had a quiet week with 10 targets. And that's just like, it's so weird. Like even with Mooney out there, London gets the targets, but the production just doesn't happen when Mooney's out there. I don't understand Drake London at all. But Darnell Mooney, 82% of snaps in his first game back feels real good. He's a guy that I saw floating out there on some of my waiver wires. Go ahead and scoop him up if he was dropped. Because those snaps and those targets are good enough to put on your roster there. And then Kyle Pitts, 10 targets here. So another guy that if you got him at tight end, he's already through his bye. Go ahead and ride with Kyle Pitts here. It's not going to be consistent. It's not going to be fun all the time, but when he does have his games, 10 targets is good. And then, like I said, with San Francisco, I don't know who the hell San Francisco is on offense outside of Christian McCaffrey. There's been zero consistency here week to week. Obviously, Mac Jones being injured, Brock Purdy being injured lends to that. And no Jennings for a chunk of time. No Ayuk for the whole beginning of the season. No Kittle for a whole chunk of time. And it's just like, what the hell is San Francisco? I don't know. I'm hoping to see some more consistency here outside of CMC. Like I said, with Purdy back, I think we start to see what San Francisco, similar to Kansas City. Rice is back. We're going to see what this offense looks like moving forward. And don't panic on George Kittle. I get it. Goose egg sucks. 89% of snaps on his first game back. Injured Mac Jones in a game where Christian McCaffrey just took care of business. Don't panic on Kittle. If the Kittle manager is panicking, go buy now because Kittle's going to be perfectly fine, especially once Purdy comes back. That's all I got for the game recap, though, guys. Was a little bit of a longer one today than even I am used to. Gonna go here to Jay Works, 16-man PPR. Got to get out from under Walker, who is a good target for a Walker tech combo. Allen, Rice, Irving, Benson, Harvey. I mean, if you can get any of those guys, yeah. Harvey, no, not really. Harvey's just speculative. Benson, you kind of got to sit on for another couple weeks and no guarantee that he's good coming back. But if I would go after those first three names, obviously 16 man makes it tough. But I don't know if getting out from Tet is the way to go. But if you are, I would go for a Rice or a Bucky Irving looking forward. But I get it. Getting out from K9 is necessary right now. But T-Mac, I think, is going to be fine. So I don't know if you're going to try to move out from Walker, try to grab a running back. So maybe like an Irving or a Benson plus in that situation there. But thank you guys. This was the Tuesday show of Wake and Take. I appreciate you guys as always. If you like the video, if you like the content, make sure that you are physically liking it on YouTube. Share it with all your friends, with all your league mates. It's not a big secret. It's a lot of fun. In here, we get to ask the questions. I love you guys in the chat bringing all the questions. It's a lot of fun. As always, be sure to follow me at JOwens_FF on Twitter. Also, like I said, putting out a lot more content on TikTok at JOwensFF. And I will be back on Thursday here for Wake and Take at 10 a.m. and then the Sunday recap, usually during the Sunday night football game around 10 o'clock at night for the Throne Room over on TikTok. Join me there. Appreciate you guys as always. I will catch you on Thursday for the starts and sits. Have a good one.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, Data Analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.